Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to High School Wrestling on WSPC Cable 4 York. This evening's matchup comes from the Division I of the YAIAA. It features a host, Wildcats of Dallastown High School, and they will square off against the visiting Mustangs of Southwestern. I'm Larry Gay, along with my co-host this evening, Charlie Jacobs, and we're going to start off, Charlie, with you setting the stage for us in terms of what this match means for both of these teams.
Well, I'd say that anytime you're in Dallastown's gym, it's an important match. And when you think about what lies ahead for these kids, there's a lot at stake. At this time, Southwestern is 3-2 in the league, in just the league matches, and Dallastown is 5-0. They only each have one more match to go within the league. And Southwestern has already wrestled New Oxford, but lost 29-26. And this Saturday, it becomes a very crucial match for Dallastown because they are undefeated, along with New Oxford being undefeated. So there's a big match this Saturday. It also is important because sectionals are just ahead of us, and within 2 weeks, we have that starting. And so as these boys wrestle their individual bouts, they're also improving their records, and that will have a big part to play in where they get seeded for sectionals.
Okay, we're talking about this match tonight, Dallastown Southwestern. It's a matchup that commonly year after year is a tough bout for both of these teams. Dallastown has the edge tonight, but taking a look from the coaching standpoint, how do you see this match, if you were to call it, from the get-go? And I'm going to put you on the spot, Charlie, and I guess make you call it the way you're going to see it.
Well, I wish I could be closer to the action than what I am, just sitting along the sidelines. This will be a good match. Both the coaches that are involved here have terrific programs and are working very hard to make these boys the best they can be. And I respect both of them. But when you look at this match and you look at kind of hindsight of what happened last year, this came down to the last match at heavyweight, and Travis Gross was able to get a near fall in the third period and win this by 29-26 as a team score. So it was close last year, and we certainly expect to be close tonight. I'd say that experience-wise and performance-wise, you'd have to say that Southwestern is stronger at the lower end, and Dallastown certainly comes on strong up through the middle and the heavyweights.
Well said. I'd call it the same myself, Charlie. We're going to take a look at some feature wrestlers. Each week we do this, and for this week's matchup, we're going to take a look at Southwestern first. Southwestern will put on the mat first a freshman. He's Jared Sullivan at 103 pounds. He's 18-2-0. Last year as a junior hire, finished 19-0-0. He placed first in the Southwestern tournament. He placed second in the Delone tournament. This summer, he spent some time wrestling. He finished third in the AAU Eastern National Scholastic Division of the Eastern Nationals of the AAU. He participated in the Crunch Bunch camp down in Hanover, did a lot of lifting. His aspirations for this season when he began was to win the sectional tournament, wanted to place or medal at the districts and get an opportunity to participate in the PIAA tournament up at Hershey. Not bad for a freshman. For teams that have to face Jared Sullivan in the future, they've got a long road ahead of them. The second wrestler we're going to look at for Southwestern is their senior standout, Jeremy Seidenstricker. He's 13-5-0. He is a 3-year starter. Placed second last year at the sectional tournament. Did not participate in the district tournament because he got sick, could not lose the weight. As a result, had to withdraw from the tournament. He placed fourth at the district tournament of the AAUs this summer, did a lot of lifting. Hopes to go on to Shippensburg or Lycoming. He will wrestle at either one of those schools once he decides, and he hopes to major either in business management or political science. He needs to win and add big points for the Mustangs tonight if they're going to have a chance to top the Dallastown Wildcats. Charlie, let's take a look at the Dallastown wrestlers that will feature tonight.
Okay, what I'm looking at right now is Mark Deck, and Mark is at 103, and so he meets the gentleman that Larry just talked about. Mark this year stands at 12-7, is a sophomore, and has done very well this year. In the state college tournament, he came in second, and in their own Christmas tournament here at Dallastown, he was able to win that. He also, as Larry mentioned, some of the boys doing some lifting. In the off-season, Mark also did a lot of lifting and running, and also played soccer this past fall. And I talked to him earlier, and he indicates that he hopes to qualify for states, which means he's got to place at sectionals. He means he has to place at districts to get onto that state tournament, but he's looking forward to it. Our other individual is Quentin Gee, and Quentin is a junior. At this time, he's 11-11, and he also did well in several tournaments. He was able to place second at the state college tournament. He was third at the Wilson tournament and third at the Dallastown's own Christmas tournament. He also spent a lot of time wrestling in the off-season, and part of his off-season experience took him to the Keystone State Games, where he placed third in that event. He also did a lot of lifting and running, and he knows that that has helped him prepare for this season. He also has aspirations of placing at the sectional tournament and moving on to districts. And both the boys indicated to me that they realize at this time, with so few days left before sectionals, they're going to continue their intensive training and their desire to place at that tournament and go on to districts. So I expect a very exciting match out of those two boys.
And we'd expect a match out of both of these teams. The stage is set. Dallastown Wildcats are now coming out onto the mat to do their warming up. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with the starting lineups after these messages.
You know, nothing adds a little spice to your life like a good catfish stew, unless it's a fantastic February sale going on right now at Apple Chevrolet Geo. Zero down, no payments till this May, and up to 6% off every used vehicle in stock. A 91 Plymouth Sundance from automatic and air conditioning was $89.95, now just $3,600. An 85 Olds Frienza with air, power steering, and automatic was $4,000, now just $1,600. Folks, see Apple Chevrolet Geo today. Our deals are hot. Woo! Red hot!
It's so easy to get involved with a settlement with insurance companies before you fully know what your rights are and what your injury is.
You have to understand, insurance companies are looking out for their own interests, not yours.
What you sign on any one particular day may forfeit your rights forever.
Before you sign a release with any insurance company, call us for a free consultation.
Protecting your rights under the law. You can count on us.
A lot of people in the heating business say they'll be glad to service it if they installed it. Boyce is a little different. We'll service it whether we installed it or not. Whether it be heat pump or hot air or steam or hot water, we can service it. And yes, we do have 24-hour service delivery. So make Boyce your choice today. Let us service your heating system.
Make Boyce your choice.
Want to change the direction of your life? Tomorrow's jobs require hands-on skill and knowledge. Join the caring people at Yorktown Business Institute and learn how you could be ready for an exciting career in as little as 8 months. Over 91% of YBI grads get a job within a year. Prepare for success in a well-paying career. Choose programs in business administration or secretarial science. Careers as a medical, dental, or legal office assistant are among the fastest growing in the nation. Earn a diploma or specialized associate degree at Yorktown Business Institute. Call 846-5000.
We're back at Dallastown High School as we get set for the starting lineups between these two teams, the Wildcats of Dallastown, the Mustangs of Southwestern. Charlie, start us off with 103-pounders.
Tonight for Southwestern 103, we have Jared Sullivan, 9th grader, 17-2, and he will meet Mark Deck from Dallastown, 10th grader, 14-7.
At 112, Marcus Gobrecht of Southwestern, a junior at 14-7-0, will face Quentin Gee from Dallastown, a junior at 11-11.
At 119, we have Luke Walker, and Luke happens to be a fill-in in the fact that Boyer had broken his arm earlier, and we are told that Walker has come down 130 pounds to make 119, or actually 121 because of the 2-pound increase. And for Dallastown, his opponent will be Jay Shrum, and Jay's a 10th grader and 11-11.
At 125, Jamie Starling of Southwestern, a junior at 3-7-0, faces Mike Berry from Dallastown, a senior at 15-7-0.
At 130, we have Jeremy Seidenstricker, 12th grader, 13-5, and he will face from Dallastown Mark Trossel, who's 10th grader, 7-15.
Now we're going to throw two weights at you, 135 and 140 pounds. Both teams weighed in two wrestlers at 135. So at 135, 140, we'll see Micah Sullivan for Southwestern, a junior at 18-6, or Steve Baker, a senior at 14-10. Their opponent, Matt Deck, a senior at 17-3-0, or Tim Van Order, a junior at 6-5. Whichever wrestler does not step on the mat at 135 will go at 140.
And we jump up to 145, and we have Sean Ott, a 10th grader from Southwestern at 7-10, and he will face J.R. Swartz, a 10th grader, 6-15.
At 152, Keith Huffman of Southwestern, a junior at 14-7-0, against Neil Stinson, a junior at 7-15.
At 160, we have Mark Moore, 11th grader from Southwestern, is 14-7, and he'll face Brian Stanton, 11th grader, 5-6.
At 171, Chad Furman, a sophomore at 3-16, will face Brett Calabretta, a senior at 19-3.
At 189, Travis Lawrence, a 10th grader, 0-2, will face Matt Calabretta, who's a senior, 18-2.
And at 275, Aaron Udermalen, a rematch from last year, a senior at 14-7 against Travis Gross from D-Town, a senior at 19-3. We're going to get set. Here comes Jared Sullivan for Southwestern out onto the mat. And his opponent now checking in with the scoring table will be Mark Deck, a sophomore at 14-7-0.
Hey, these first matches are really important. Having been involved in coaching a lot of years, it's great to have the momentum start in your favor. It really helps the rest of the team. And so both these kids have important responsibility toward their team.
Especially considering, John, the youth that, Charlie, the youth that both these wrestlers have. Here's Mark Deck in on a single leg. Now trying to finish it off. Jared Sullivan countering.
Sullivan is defending real well. There still some action there, so Brian Meckley won't stop at this point. There's still enough action to warrant letting it go on.
Again, Deck stays with that single leg. Sullivan working with overhead counters at this point, trying to knock Deck off his base. We've got 1:21 to go. First period, still no score. 103-pounders. Jared Sullivan of Southwestern, Mark Deck of Dallastown.
The build on these boys is pretty much alike. They're rather tall for 103, and that's to their advantage. Certainly, as they go into districts, they're going to have kids this big that have come down from higher weight classes. So they look to be the proper size.
Stalemate stops the action with 1:10 to go in the first period, so they'll come back to their feet, still in a neutral position.
They have to stay in motion. The more motion they can create, the more opportunities are presented to them for takedowns.
Here's Sullivan trying to snap Deck to the mat, create an opening to attack on the offensive. Deck does not respond, stays in good position. Now here he tries to spin behind. Sullivan continues to turn and face him. They stay in a neutral position. We've got 45 seconds to go. First period, still no change. They go out of bounds. We'll go back to center, still in a neutral position.
Both these boys have a lot of good action. They were a little bit out of position there as they went out of bounds. They want to make sure they keep their base underneath their body and not get overextended, because it's pretty easy to snap a boy down when he's off balance. So right now, they're kind of maneuvering for position, but neither of them have gotten real good shots. They don't seem to be getting an angle. They've got to create an angle to make the takedown a lot easier, instead of going straight on. The easiest thing to defense is somebody that comes at you straight on. But if you can get a boy to create angles all the time, he becomes very proficient in takedowns.
Had the opportunity, Charlie, to meet Mark Deck's father. I guess it's Robert Deck, at the end of the match against Dover. And he said that his older son, Matt, came home at the beginning of the season. He said, Dad, you're going to be shocked in the improvement you see in Mark. He said he's really improving. And the schedule that Dallastown's had to be a sophomore, stepping into the lineup at 14-7-0, that's not bad.
No, that's very good. I know that Coach Gable has really has created a real challenging schedule, and that'll pay off. And you go into our district and into the state tournaments, you're going to meet those kids again. So if you've already been on the mat one time, it makes it easier to face them the next time. And if you happen to come up short, that's fine. You gain the experience. You'll be more prepared that next time.
Charlie, there's a schedule like that even Dover matched it. They set the same schedule up. As a result, seemed to face a lot of mid-season injuries that happened as a result of that early season schedule. Well, is that beneficial as well?
It really helps if you have a large squad. The only problem is today is most squads aren't that big, and so when you're in these really tough matches, tough tournaments, you come up with some injuries. You just don't have the other kids to put in because you have no backup. So you want to get the competition, but at the same time you're chancing increasing injuries. So it's a tough decision for a coach.
First period ends in this 103-pound bout. No score, 0-0, getting set to start this second period. And we see Deck, I guess, had a bloody nose. They stopped the match earlier for that, tended to it. Now he's back getting that taken care of again.
And of course, these nosebleeds, there's no time limit on that. They have necessary time that they can get that repaired and they're ready to go.
I'm going to double check this, Charlie, but I believe the flip of the coin, odd bouts went to Southwestern. We'll double check that. I think that Sullivan, no. Yes, okay, Southwestern had their choice. Sullivan deferred. So Deck gets his choice. He takes a down position to start this second period. Sullivan will get on top. And our official this evening, as Charlie mentioned, Bryant Meckley, gets things underway. Here's Deck tries a stand-up. Sullivan brings him to the mat. Again, no hand control.
Right, no hand control. And during numerous matches I've heard Larry and John do here on Cable 4, Larry's often mentioned about hand control, and I would confirm the same thing. It's so important. If you don't have hand control of your opponent's hands, you can't do a whole lot. So you've got to gain that. You've got to have good hip position and hand control, or you're in trouble. And basically that's what's happening. Right now, Jared is able to maintain good position because Mark just hasn't gotten in a good position. When you get extended like this, it's pretty hard to come up unless you get your hand control, your head up, and your hips moving. He's coming up now, but Jared was right after him and was able to control him, and they're almost out of bounds.
They work the edge of the mat. Deck crawls out. They go out of bounds. We'll go back to center. No change. Deck will be in the bottom position. Jared Sullivan of Southwestern in the top. You know, we talked about Jared Sullivan being a freshman, but 17-2-0.
That's outstanding.
Absolutely. Freshman, senior, it doesn't matter. 103 pounds, 112 pounds, 160 pounds. 17-2 is very respectable, especially for a freshman.
I think he kind of benefited from the same thing that your brother's benefited from you and your brother, in that he's had older brothers wrestle, and that really helps because they spent a lot of times on the living room carpet, and maybe mother and dad haven't been too excited about that, but they've been gaining a lot of experience working with their older brothers. And having that in the family, it really helps prepare these young men for varsity competition.
Your coaching didn't hurt them either, Charlie, believe me. A lot of respect for you as a coach and what you did for them. Here is Sullivan with the bar to the right side. He's got the left shoulder cup. Now he goes with a one-on-one. Looking for the half, looking for the wrist. Now he takes the wrist. He'll run this bar.
He's got to pinch that bar in and break him down a little bit more than what he had him. You know, a head lever in this position.
20 seconds to go. Second period, still no score, 103-pounders.
Even though there doesn't look like a lot of action going on there, there's a lot of effort being put into what they're doing. And if you're around the sport long enough, it's pretty easy to see that there is a lot of work going on.
One thing you got to look at Jared Sullivan on top, in the top position here, Charlie, is he's always in good position. On his toes, making his opponent bear the weight.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, make him carry the weight. And the more weight that you can make your opponent carry, then the weaker he becomes as the match goes on.
Cotton comes out of Mark Deck's nose, and I guess the bleeding stopped, though. Yeah. Not taking officials' time out for that. Sullivan gets his choice to start the third period. He'll take the down position. We are scoreless after 2 periods.
We'll see what happens off the whistle here. At this point, looks like he may stand. And he attempted that. Now, again, he's got a hand control off the Deck's hand when it went to his ankle. He's got to get that control right away because he wasn't able to get to the whole complete stand-up. Now he's coming up. He's working hand control on Mark's left arm.
Now Deck drops down to a single just to maintain control. Remember, the control isn't a part of Mark Deck at this point. Now we'll look for him to possibly go. I thought he would fish a Peterson there because of the positioning he was. Now he stays with a single. The crossface is coming in there, and that's kind of stopping him front. But the Peterson is there if he's able to control Jared's right arm. We did mention hand control, didn't we?
Yes, we did. It's something that's always important. And these kids really have to work on that.
Take a look at Jared Sullivan. He's got that right wrist, or had the right wrist of Mark Deck control. Now he's looking to go for a cradle. He's coming over top. There's Bryant Meckley awarding the 2-point reversal to Jared Sullivan. So with 1:05 to go in the final, or in this bout.
Looks like he's locking him up what we used to call an extension roll. He's got the leg laced, and he's got the head and arm. He rolls him through.
Deck immediately clicks the leg free. And as a result, Sullivan cannot keep him on his back for near fall points. We got 50 seconds to go. Now here's Sullivan again, looking for a cradle.
He's in a cradle. As we said earlier, this is really a key match, a very important match to get the team momentum started.
And if Southwestern has a chance, they've got to score early.
Right. That's what it looks like to us on paper. But of course, this isn't one on paper. It's one on the mat.
Absolutely. Here is Deck trying to spin behind to get the 2-point reversal himself. Sullivan wisely not giving up the 2-point reversal. If anything, he'll want to give 1 point for an escape at this point because he's got 20 seconds to go in the bout. He leads 2-0. Obviously, a 2-point reversal ties it up.
If Jared can get his head out, he's in pretty good shape there. He's going to be able to do that, I believe, there he comes out. Nosebleed again.
We've got 8 seconds to go in the bout. Jared Sullivan with a nice job maintaining control in the top position and maintaining or controlling his 2-point lead that he has over Mark Deck.
Tremendous effort on both parts. Boys, even though we only have a couple seconds to go, there wasn't much, a lot of time to go, and Mark didn't give up. He kept working real hard.
Take a look at Dallastown coaching staff and their trainer tending to that bloody nose of Mark Deck. This is a big win for Jared Sullivan, as well as for the Mustangs, getting things rolling for their team early on.
As I look over there at the sidelines and I see Coach Gable and Coach Kashak, I remember both those boys in wrestling in high school. And I guess that tells them a little bit older than they are. But, of course, Gary was wrestled at Hazleton for Don Roan, who's now at Northampton, and then went on to Penn State. And, of course, Coach Gable wrestled for Coach Benz and went to F&M. And they both had very successful careers.
And now doing the same thing with coaching. Here is Sullivan looking to maintain the control. He's got 5, 4, 3, 2. Deck tries to come out with a switch, but Sullivan hangs on, and that ends it for the 103-pound bout. So Southwestern jumps out to a 3-0 lead on a 2-0 decision for Jared Sullivan. You're listening or watching High School Wrestling on WSPC, Cable 4 York.
Consolidated School of Business is proud to present our new 6.5-acre campus. The spacious facility provides a comfortable learning environment with 4 fully equipped computer labs. Considering a career in business administration, medical office, travel and tourism, computerized accounting, or legal office, call CSB and find out about our 10-month diploma programs and 16-month associate and specialized business degree programs. Become a part of CSB. Call 764-9550 for a copy of our brochure, Training for Now and the Future.
Welcome to Hanover Honda. We'd like to show you around our exquisitely beautiful showroom with crystal chandeliers and plush carpet, but we can't. We'd like to introduce you to our large sales staff, but we can't. We don't have these things at Hanover Honda. What we do have is low overhead, one of the most reliable cars ever made, a top-notch service and sales department to make your visit to Hanover Honda a truly pleasant experience. And now you know why Hondas cost less in Hanover.
At 112, we have Marcus Gobrecht, Jr., 14-7, and he'll face Quentin Gee from Dallastown, 11th grader, 11-11.
We've seen Dallastown 2 weeks in a row here on WSPC, and don't want to take things for granted. Dallastown is in the blue and white uniform, Southwestern in the black and white uniform. As you look at it now on your screen, with his back to you, is Marcus Gobrecht in the bottom position, attacking a single leg is Quentin Gee. Now changes it over to a double, now goes back to a single.
As Quentin was in there, he had gotten an angle, and then he kind of lost his position. But the important thing he was doing was sucking or drawing Marcus's hips in and was gaining a better position. But at this point, he kind of lost that, and now it's a real scramble.
Marcus Gobrecht last year, I believe, was a runner-up at 100 and may have been at this weight class. We'll pull that out for you.
Yes, Marcus Gobrecht was a runner-up at 103 pounds in the section tournament last year. Lost to Jared Adams from New Oxford, 2-0 in the final.
Here's Quentin Gee after a little bit of rolling around on the part of both wrestlers. Gee comes out on top. Nothing methodical about it, just stayed with the flow of the action. It came out on top, gets a 2-point takedown, and he leads it with 55 seconds to go in this first period, 2-zip.
And we don't want to forget about Quentin. Quentin also went on the districts, placing 3rd in sectionals last year, beating Casey Brenner in the finals, or in consolation finals, 4-0.
Here's Gee putting a figure 4, or not quite a figure 4. He's got legs in, now going with a power half. Gobrecht comes to a tripod, tries to shake him off.
Yeah, Quentin still has that, he's kind of underhooked on the far side, a half Nelson, or somewhat of a half Nelson in there from my positions. Oh, he just had a wrist. He had 101 on the far wrist. Now he's cranking the half. Quentin also has good leverage, a very long, lanky boy, and certainly has adequate strength. And with his cross-country running in soccer, or cross-country, I know that, and running, I should say, that he's gotten his conditioning well prepared for this time of the year.
At 103-pounders, Charlie, it didn't seem to be a factor, the conditioning. Both wrestlers came out, went 6 minutes easy.
Definitely.
And didn't seem to be a factor in either one of their matches. That's the end of the first period. 112-pounders, Quentin Gee of Dallastown leading Marcus Gobrecht of Southwestern by a score of 2-0. Gee gets his choice and defers. Gobrecht takes the down position to start this second period.
Those first 2 points are really important. That you get ahead, and the other guy has to come battle back. So already you have kind of a psychological advantage.
I talked earlier, Charlie. I almost said about the figure 4 on the body. We obviously know that's illegal.
Right. You can't figure 4. Years ago you could do that, but that was a rule change. And I think some of the reason they changed it was it slowed down the match too much. It was just not enough happening, and by eliminating that, they're affording more opportunity for more points to be scored.
Plus, nothing short of punishing your opponent either with it.
Right.
Very dangerous.
Tremendous pressure can be put in that rib cage. You can scissors now, and that's, if you look there, Quentin's foot is like kind of back at the calf rather than out behind the knee.
And at what point will they consider that a figure 4?
Well, when the back of the knee would come in contact with that other shoe, that would be a figure 4.
Very good. Here is Marcus Gobrecht getting a 2-point reversal and some near fall points. Quentin Gee has to come off his back as Marcus Gobrecht moves up to secure his pin.
Yeah, there's a position that Quentin lost. He had decent position, but then he lost dropped his hips, and Marcus was able to get a reversal and catch Quentin on his back.
A lot of wrestlers, Charlie, at this point would come up and collect that forearm at the tricep. Wise move, or should he stay where he's at?
No, well, now that Quentin has turned the other way, now you reverse that half and drive that half in the opposite direction. I think he's done that. but he's got to tighten everything up. Everything's too loose. He's got to tighten the head off, pinch the head so that he can't get any bridge off that net. And Quentin, there he rolled through, and that had a lot to do with it. He just wasn't tight at all with that heel.
Nice job by Quentin Gee fighting off the fall with 40 seconds to go in the second period. Marcus Gobrecht will get a 3-point near fall as soon as he breaks this pinning combination. There we stop it. 3 near fall points for Marcus Gobrecht. We'll stop it for the headgear of Quentin Gee. And he now trails Gobrecht by a score of 5-2.
The scrambling that was going on out there, you know, you just be surprised how much energy that takes out of you fighting off your back. And we'll see if that has an effect later on. So, but again, he didn't give up. You know, he could have just laid flat and given up, but these kids have too much fight in them. They're not going to do that.
We've talked about it time and time again. You know, sometimes your role on the team is not so much winning. It's just not getting pinned, or it's, you know, sometimes it's getting the pin.
Right. And the other thing is that every point that's gotten or not given up in a match is so crucial. You don't know it at the time, but many matches afterward, I've sat down and looked at them. Well, if we'd have won this one or wouldn't have given up that 1 point, it would have made a big difference in the final score. So every match, every bout point is important.
He tries to stand up. Gobrecht brings him back to the mat, maintains control, and now looking for a cradle. Over the top, he locks it up.
10 seconds to go.
Again, Quentin Gee trailing Marcus Gobrecht by a score of 5-2, 4-3-2, and that's going to do it for the second period.
And we have it 5-2 favor Gobrecht.
Choice for the third period will be Quentin Gee's, and he takes a down position to start this third and final period at the 112-pound bout. You know, Charlie, you talk about every point in a match being important. You know, we look at last week's match at Dover, and there was one overtime bout. Dover happened to lose it. Now, it was not this wrestler's loss or the team's loss as a result of this wrestler, but had he won that, there's an overtime bout, loses it by a takedown. Now you've got a 6-point swing, and it ties the bout up, and Dover would have won it because they won 7 bouts.
Yeah, that's how crucial those little things are. So it can really swing the final results very easily. There have been a lot of matches this year in the league that, you know, certainly New Oxford and Downstown are undefeated, but you look at some of the scores that come out in teams that are 2-3 or 3-2 going against those teams that are above them, and I tell you what, they've been close.
1:20 to go, third and final period. Gobrecht still in control. Gee chose the bottom position. He is still there. The control is Marcus Gobrecht at this point. The score is still 5-2. Gobrecht leading. Quentin Gee.
Quentin has to come up, gain some elevation, and he's got to draw in, continue up through. He can't stop moving those feet and those knees. He's got to go underneath him and gain a better position.
Gobrecht again doing a nice job feeding the hips, what we call making him bear that weight. And as a result, Gee has not been able to finish, and as Charlie said, drive through on that double leg to score his 2-point reversal, or at least a 1-point escape.
Nice job. Again, if you notice, there was an angle created, and he was able to come out, and Marcus lost his positioning, and Quentin Turney took advantage of it. Now it's 6-4 with only 36 seconds to go. This is really important right here. You can't just take a wasted shot. It's got to be good stuff at this point. Good technique.
Here's Gee in on a single leg again, or an attempt at it. Looked like he was going for a barrel roll and lost control of the elbow. Gobrecht blocking in the crotch, turning that left hip down. As a result, he's fighting off this attack by Gee. 15 seconds to go. We've got a stalemate. We'll go back up on our feet still in the neutral position. Gobrecht still leading 6-4.
We want to look for good setups here and deep shots, because it can be won. It can be tied, I should say, or it could be won, depending on what happens here. They got to go. They got to go. Quentin has to go for something.
He's not creating any kind of angle, no action, reaction, Charlie, to get Gobrecht to move. And as a result, he's going to lose this one. He does. Marcus Gobrecht hangs on for a 6-4 decision, another close one.
Yeah, the pressure was on Marcus, or Quentin at that point. He had to go for it, and Marcus could kind of hang back. He wasn't calling for stalling ahead of time. So it's some match strategy there used not to force something and end up going in tie and then going overtime.
So Southwestern jumps out to a 6-0 lead. You're listening to High School Wrestling on WSPC, Cable 4 York.
So, tell us about him.
Well, he's honest, dependable.
That's a start, but get to the good part.
Well, he takes good care of me, and he does it right the first time.
Sounds too good to be true. When can we meet him?
Actually, he's outside right now. You know what they say. Oh. He's my Cotman man, and he keeps me rolling along.
Visit your local Cotman man at 2199 Bannister Street in West York.
The Mako Supreme sale is on now. Our Supreme service is now twice as good at half price.
Now only $199.
Mako Supreme Finish wraps your car in a new sunscreen coating that protects the rich, deep gloss. It's so durable, it's backed in writing by over 400 Mako centers coast to coast.
Come to your local Mako center and get a $399 Mako Supreme deal, now only $199. Half price.
The Mako Supreme Paint Sale. If that showroom shines your bottom line, get Mako.
We're back at Dallastown High School. 119-pounders. Luke Walker of Southwestern, a junior at 0-1, will face Jay Schrum of Dallastown, a sophomore at 11-11. That's a...
This is interesting that you have a boy that comes in off the JV team. He's been in the room with his teammates all this season, so he knows what's going on. He just hasn't had a chance to break in the lineup. But this could be a real opportunity for him, and he looks like he might take advantage of it.
He's been wrestling 130 pounds, has lost the weight to get down to the 119-pound weight class. Here he's walking off of what you'd call, I guess, a front headlock type series,
well,
Charlie?
I think if you're up in Northampton, it's called a cement mixer.
There you go.
And they do it quite well. And with Dallastown having faced those kids, and I'm sure that the Southwestern kids are aware of it too, it's a good move, but you got to really work on it and drill it to be able to do it at any time. Now we're in an awkward position here. I tell you what, there's control at layout. There's Brian showing control and back points.
And a cradle that could be trouble.
Yes, it is.
Walker in trouble now as Schrum locks up the cradle. He basically went off of a front headlock, picked the ankle, locked up a cradle gingerly, and as a result...
his shoulders are still in bounds, shoulder blades are in, so there could still be a fall at that point, even though most of the bodies are out. As long as his shoulders are in, he can be pinned, and now it's getting worse. Much tighter now.
This is a big, big match for Dallastown if Schrum can hang on and get the fall.
44 seconds. Looks real close at this point. With that leg pinned up underneath there, that's very hard to bridge out of.
30 seconds to go.
Jay needs to tighten up a little bit more too. There it is.
So, with 1 minute and 32 seconds passed, Jay Schrum gets the fall for Dallastown and ties this one up. 6-6.
That was a big win, and that's, we're talking about momentum. That could have a big effect on what follows here.
You've got to look at the turn of events. Things happen. There's nothing you can do to change it. Sean Boyer in the lineup for Southwestern all year. Last year's sectional champ at 112 pounds. Breaks his wrist at work as a result. Southwestern brings a JVer in there. Dallastown capitalizes. 6 points. Ties it up. 125-pounders.
We have...
What is this place? It's pretty much the worst part of down below.
15-7. I watched Mike wrestle early in the year on TV, and I was really impressed with the discipline he shows in his technique. And I talk to coaches about that and kids that I see at school about the discipline needed in the sport. A boy that's able to wrestle and stick with it, he learns to discipline himself. And if you can do that, you can be a good student also.
And Mike Berry is just that. Very well in the classroom. Berry gets a 2-point takedown with 1:15 to go in the first period. Here is Starling trying to turn to face him. They go out of bounds. We'll go back to center. Still no change. Starling will be in a down position. Berry will be in the top position. Berry leading this one, 2-0.
Last year, Berry was in the final section of finals at 125 and lost to Eric Shive in overtime 4-2.
You take a look at his record prior to that tournament beginning. He was 500 season at 10-10, I believe.
Yes.
So he went into the finals at 12-10. Records mean absolutely nothing when that sectional tournament begins.
That's right. Conditioning and the size of your heart has, and your desire has everything to do with what happens in your sectional tournament.
Starling got the 1-point escape. Now Berry looking to get the 2-point takedown and does. Now trying to lock up a cradle. More or less trying to force this. He leads at 4-1. Mike Berry. 4-1 over Jamie Starling of Southwestern. Team score tied up at 6 apiece. We've got 35 seconds to go, first period of this 125-pound bout.
Jamie has to get some position on the bottom. You just can't score much laying on your belly. You got to get up and get a base and work from there. With that leg trap, with that leg lace that Mike has, he's in a great position to work a low leg cradle or just a half and just improve his position from there. So Jamie has to improve his position. Now you can see what's coming out of it.
Berry gets a half Nelson. It's deep. He's got this one chest on chest. He's got the elbow behind the head. This is deep as he can get it. Now he's lifting the head.
And again, he's got to set that half real tight. And if he did that, may have been able to get the fall.
Instead, he gets a 3-point near fall, and the period ends, and Mike Berry leads 7-1 after 1 period. He gets his choice. He defers to start the second period. It'll go to Jamie Starling. Starling looked to his coach for a little advice.
That's always helpful. You have a lot of kids that look your way, and it's nice that they have the confidence in you and will take your advice and do as you suggest.
And it's nice as a coach to have a wrestler that's that coachable, that will look to you. Starling takes a down position to start the second, goes for a switch, now comes back as Berry breaks him down. Looked like he was going to come back with a sit-out turn-in, but Berry broke him down, maintains control. Here's Starling again with a stand-up. Berry lets him go for a 1-point escape. It's now 7-2.
I think there's, and you look at both body structures here, Mike appears to be a bit stronger than what Jamie is, and I tell you, strength in wrestling is, it was always important, but I think in the last years it's become more important because kids are spending more time lifting weights, and it's so important to succeed in this sport. You've got to have the strength to go with your technique.
Now Berry looking for a front headlock, working off a front headlock series, tries to chase a cradle, instead just spins behind, gets a 2-point takedown. As Starling hangs his head, Berry takes advantage of it, just spins behind for the 2-point takedown. Now leads at 9-2 with 1:19 to go in the second period.
If you notice Mike's position there, he got his head stuck down behind Jamie's arm, and he can block that arm off with your head, and it made it very easy to go around the corner. So you work it off your front head and arm. Many times you can lead into a cradle from that.
Again, Starling goes to his sit-out, stops there. Berry brings him back to his base. Now he'll go to work from there. He has a wrist, secured. Now looking to pick the near leg. He steps. As Charlie said, he laces that leg again. Now he'll go to work from here. This is where he scored last time off the half Nelson. Now he lets it go and goes back up top.
Yeah, I think Jamie learned from the last time. He's not going to stay down. He's got to get up and get moving, and we'll see what comes out of this position now. He's got to stay in motion. He's got a lot of legs to defend. He's a rather tall boy, and Mike's a bit shorter, so he's got to be very conscious of his legs.
Berry with a nice fireman's carry as he sets things up, gets a 2-point takedown. Now look to go for some near fall points. No. Lets Starling belly out. Now he'll go to work on top again. The score is 11-3. As Starling got the 1-point escape, Berry, after setting things up, comes back in with a fireman's carry, gets a 2-point takedown. 25 seconds to go. Second period, 125 pounds. A weight class.
That fireman's carry could have been a real bad position for Jamie, because if Mike been able to keep an arm, he could have trapped him on his back right off the fireman's carry.
Charlie, it'd be great to see that one again, just for technique purposes, the way Mike Berry set that up with action-reaction. Set it up well.
It set it up well, and also if you get a chance to replay it, you watch the deep penetration that was gotten. And when you get in that deep, you get a good control of your opponent's hips, and that's what gains your takedown.
A lot of younger wrestlers think that fireman's carried by the arm that gets in under the hips, and it's really the drag of that elbows. It's just as important.
Exactly. Yeah, you can hit a fireman's carry without control, without having your arm that deep in the crotch. You got to control that tied-up arm, and that's what he did.
Berry goes to work on top again. He's got 5 seconds to do anything in this second period. I should say 5 seconds now. Starling just bellying out, trying to maintain the defensive position in the bottom. And the second period winds down. We stay at 11-3. Mike Berry leading Jamie Starling of Southwestern. Berry gets his choice to start the third and final period. He takes the down position. Team score deadlocked at 6 apiece.
Yeah, that's... I tell you, as we said earlier, every match is important, and these kids right now must assume this responsibility for their team, and they've got to pick these wins up.
Here's Berry, nice stand up, stays with it, as you said, Charlie, very disciplined.
Yeah, notice the good hand control, good hip position, and good hand control. He's into a cradle, that head, know where that head's at, and that's a good position to have, because if he can get Jamie on his side, he's able to pop the head, and he'll take Jamie right to his back.
I'm going to look for my notes from last week, because I talked with Mike Berry. We featured him in the matchup with Dover, and I know I talked to him about his career aspirations as far as college and what he wanted to pursue. Without even looking again, I would assume it had to be engineering, because he wrestles in that methodical style, doesn't he? He's just methodical.
Could be going to Lehigh, huh?
Hey, we'll see. I think he was going to Penn State.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that either.
No.
There's a big matchup for Penn State tonight with Lock Haven.
Right.
And what I was able to read in the Patriot today, that this could be the first time in 21 matches, or 21 years, or matches between the two schools, Lock Haven and Penn State, that Lock Haven has a good shot at winning. So it should be a lot of excitement up there in Lock Haven.
Bout score 14-4, Berry leading. Now he gets another 2-point takedown, leads at 16-4. He's got 55 seconds to go. Leading by 12 points. Out of bounds. Back to center, 49 seconds to go. Mike Berry of Dallastown leading. Jamie Starling of Southwestern by a score of 16-4. I did find my notes on Mike Berry, and Mike Berry will go to Penn State. He's undecided, but at this point, he's hoping to pursue medical school in the future.
Well, you know, Downtown's a boy up at Penn State right now. Brian Wirtz is on the varsity team, working out with the varsity wrestlers. So he'll have some company there, some boys from back home.
You know, we've done 3 matches. This is the 3rd match for Dallastown, and I'm surprised. Here's Starling trying to go with a headlock. Really nothing to set it up. It was a desperation move.
Yeah, it was a desperation move. We're only 25. He's down by 13 points. He thought he could pick something up here, but if the intent is there, you've got to have the good technique to finish it.
So Berry leads 18-5. We've got 15 seconds to go in this bout. And Berry would love nothing more than to score the tech fall instead of the major decision. They're stalling on the bottom this late in the bout. It's insignificant. We've got 4 seconds. 3, 2, and that'll do it for the 125-pound bout.
Okay, so coming up next, we're going to see at 130. At 130, we're going to have Jeremy Seidenstricker, a senior, 13-5 against Matt Troso, a 10th grader, 7-15.
Before we carry that one, we're going to take a short break. You're watching High School Wrestling on WSBC, Cable 4 York.
The verdict is in at Maple Donuts.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
It should come as no surprise. Crazy Charlie Donuts is guilty. Guilty of selling the best donuts in the world. Come judge for yourself. Just one taste of Maple Donuts' 58 great varieties is all the evidence you need. And remember, with each dozen donuts you buy, you get free OJ. The verdict is in.
Guilty as charged.
We're anxious to hear your testimony at Maple Donuts with 9 convenient locations in York.
Myers and Son.
We're back at Dallastown High School. Currently, the Wildcats of Dallastown leading the Mustangs of Southwestern by a score of 10-6, coming off an 18-4 major decision from Mike Berry. And now we're at the 130-pounders as Charlie prepped it. Jeremy Seidenstricker of Southwestern, a senior at 13-5, and Matt Troso of Dallastown, a sophomore at 7-15.
Yeah, this certainly Matt Deck. Yeah, Matt Deck coming in here. I'm sorry. Yeah, Jeremy Seidenstricker from Dallastown or Southwestern. If we look back to his performance last year, we find that at 119 pounds in sectionals, he was a runner-up to Matt Deck, and only lost 4-3 to Matt Deck in sectional finals. So you're dealing with a very quality wrestler here.
This is a 3-year starter for the Mustangs, Jeremy Seidenstricker. Troso, of course, a sophomore, so he's facing one of our better wrestlers at 130 pounds.
Nice spin. Got Troso out of position, was able to spin right behind him. Very nice.
2-point takedown for Seidenstricker with 1:08 to go.
Right on the cradle. He means business. You can see that.
And Southwestern needs 6 points from Jeremy Seidenstricker. Nothing to take it again. There it is. So 1 minute elapses, and Jeremy Seidenstricker, one of our feature wrestlers for the Mustangs, comes through for them with a fall in 1 minute and quickly puts Southwestern back on top, 12-10. That brings us to 135-pound weight class, and this is one of the matches that we have to wait and see, because this is where shuffling will happen. Dave Cox said before this bout started, if they're going to win, they've got to go after him, which meant he wanted Micah Sullivan on Matt Deck, and Matt Deck comes out, and so does. No, they take Sullivan away from him. So Steve Baker out on the mat for the Mustangs. He's a senior at 14-10 against Matt Deck of Dallastown, a senior at 17-3.
Matt is a very good technician. I've been impressed with him when I've seen him in the past, and I think we'll see some of that tonight.
So Dave Cox hoping to score big points against Van Order, putting Micah Sullivan on him, and we'll see how his strategy pans out. Deck with a 2-point takedown. Baker with a 1-point escape. It's 2-1. We've got 1:30 to go in this bout. 135-pounders. Matt Deck.
Now watch here as Matt's turn the corner. Now, certainly Steve's doing a good job positioning out front, but if you notice there, the effort that Matt was putting into turning the corner was really obvious. Good position here on a little bit of a dump, but didn't need to dump it completely over.
Got the 2-point takedown, now leads 4-1. Deck at 17-3 has certainly seen his share of victories this year for the Wildcats. You know, it was interesting. I looked back at my records last evening, and you look at the Wildcat leaders on this team. They were all sophomores when Neil Barnes and that contingent won the county, went head-to-head with Cumberland Valley a couple times, battling things out. Here these guys are the seniors now, and they're leading these younger wrestlers and setting a good example.
Yeah, certainly as Neil served as a model for the underclassmen, these seniors are doing the same for these boys.
Staying right with him. 40 seconds to go. Deck leading 4-2. He's got 2 takedowns. Baker has 2 escapes. They go out of bounds. We'll go back to center. No change. We're in a neutral position. 36 seconds to go in this first period. 135-pound weight class. Deck of Dallastown leading Baker of Southwestern 4-2.
Last year, Deck was run-up in districts, and presently is ranked 2nd in the district at 135 pounds, just behind Harris from Harrisburg.
That's an interesting thing to see Damian Harris going to Harrisburg from Cumberland Valley. I'm still not sure what happened there, but...
No, I don't know the story either. Harrisburg has done real well this year. They had a couple boys move in and really made a big difference in their team.
Of course, I guess they suffered the same setback that Cedar Cliff did in having to forfeit several bouts. Was that correct?
Yes, they had to forfeit a match, just as Cumberland Valley had, or Cedar Cliff had to also, because wrestling a boy in the wrong weight class.
Exactly. Below the certification.
Right.
At the end of the first period, Deck leads this one 6-2. Baker will start the second period in a down position. Deck on top. Deck motioned or showed Bryant Meckley the optional start.
Yeah, optional start just by placing his hands on the middle of the defensive boy's back and signaling to the official you're going to do that. Then he in turn tells the bottom man what's happening, and if the bottom man wants to readjust his position, he can at that point. So we're going to see this option start right now. He didn't turn him loose. He dropped down for an ankle, and we'll see what's coming out of this.
Looking for a cradle, possibly?
Yeah, that's what I would guess.
Out of bounds, no change. We'll go back to center. Baker will be in a down position, Deck in the top position. Just underway in the second period. Deck leading at 6-2.
When Matt lifted that leg, the near leg, many times you can turk right into that and go cross body on it, and then go to the head and get some exposure points.
There's Baker with a 1-point escape. Now Deck leads at 6-3 with 1:45 to go in the second period.
Kind of went for a little bit of a knee pick or an ankle pick. Now notice he's trying to turn the corner. He's got his head in position, coming up for a double, gets his lift, and he's able to score his takedown.
If you take a look at Mark Deck, there's not a lot, or excuse me, Matt Deck, there's not a lot of wasted motion. He takes the motion of the opponent and uses it to his advantage. And why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, you know, if you can, as you said earlier about an action-reaction, if you're moving and you cause your opponent to react, then you take your shot off of his reaction. So if you're the one who's initiating and forcing him to react, you should end up with a lot of the takedowns. But you've got to be in motion, and being in motion requires you to be in condition. And you'll see this. These boys are better to go strong, but positioning and technique is really important here as the match wears on.
And I think that's one of the things that comes in maturity of some of the wrestlers, Charlie, is they'll get in there with the mindset, I'm going to pick this guy up with my double leg. He sags his hips, and they waste energy and still don't complete it.
Exactly.
Deck gives the 1-point escape up to Baker, then gets a 2-point takedown himself, now leads at 10-4 with 52 seconds to go in the second period.
What you said there, I used to tell the kids about, you know, this sport is controlled aggression. You got to be under control, but you got to be aggressive. You just can't go out there and go wild, because you're not going to be in position, you're not going to score points, and you're going to look like a fool. So you got to be in control, but you got to be aggressive.
Fine line. It's almost a contradiction, isn't it? Out of bounds, we'll go back to center, no change.
You know, I've been out of the sport from the coaching viewpoint for 2 years, but it's not out of my system. As I told people back then, I was getting out of coaching, but I'll never get out of wrestling. And that's the way I believe. I really hope this sport is around when my boys are old enough to participate in it.
I already watched your boy take it to mine at a picnic, and wasn't too happy. Mine's a year old. Charlie's got Nathan's got 2 years on him, goes out and throws him to his back. Said, ooh. Here's Deck in on a single leg again. Baker with a cross face has Deck in bad position at this point. Has him off his base, hits down.
Deck has to regain his position. He got extended there, and it was crucial that he held onto his leg and not let Sullivan or Baker go around the side.
So that ends the second period. Deck still leading by a score of 10-5. Deck, with his choice in the final period, takes a down position. Steve Baker, of Southwestern, a senior at 14-10, will be in the top position.
Larry, you mentioned about Nathan, my oldest son. I've got a younger son who's going to be 2 in April. And the way he's growing now, I think he's going to be twice the size of Nathan. And I think Nathan better get his licks in now, because the time will come when I don't think he'll be able to do that.
Daniel's got a sister, and he still better get his in. Out of bounds, back to center, no change. 1:42 to go. Baker in a down position. Deck in the top. Deck leading this one 13-5.
Look at the position on Baker. Kind of had his hands out to the side just to change the kind of confuse Matt on the top, but he left him go anyhow. Now we got a body lock. He could have dropped him right to his back if he squeezed him a little bit tighter, but Baker bailed out.
So Deck gets a 2-point takedown instead. It's 15-6. Out of bounds, back to center. We've got 1:24 to go in the bout. This is the 135-pound weight class. We waited at the beginning of this one because this was a strategic move on the part of both coaches. And why don't we talk about that, Charlie? I'm going to talk to you here. Dave Cox could have thrown Micah Sullivan head-to-head on Matt Deck, or he could have moved him up to 140 and put him on Tim Van Order. He elected to do the latter, putting Sullivan up on Van Order and putting Deck and Baker together. Why?
Well, we'd have to talk with Dave about that. There had to be reasons for it. I'm sure he discussed it with the 2 boys involved, and the team probably discussed it, and they looked at it, what would be the best for the team. So at this point, I'd be guessing to determine what he decided, what the reason was for it. Only in hindsight will he know it was a good move.
That's the best job at skating an answer I ever saw without putting yourself in position. Well done. You can't pin this guy down, I'm telling you. It's great. 45 seconds to go. Third period. Deck still leads this one 15-6.
Yeah, that was a nice lift. And if you notice, he bumped him out with his right knee, right leg, and Matt was able to put him back down to the mat.
Deck's put on quite a bit of size, muscular.
Well, you can look at the leg strength. You can see the leg development he's gotten. Much stronger through the hips and legs. And hips in wrestling are so important. You can't have all your strength in your upper body. You got to have it in the legs, hips, and thighs.
And that's, again, another myth and misconception of some younger wrestlers, I think. They think they have to have big biceps, a huge chest, and that's just not the ticket.
Yeah, you watch many of the Russian wrestlers. They spend a tremendous amount of time on building lower back strength, hip and thigh strength, in addition to their arm strength and chest strength.
Deck maintaining the ride. 10 seconds to go in this bout. Deck leading 15-6. He's got a major decision, or 4 points secured for his team.
Nice snapback. Very nice snapback. He almost was able to settle him into back points, but Baker was able to turn out.
So, 135-pound bout over. Matt Deck of Dallastown walks away with a major decision, 15-6. The team score. Dallastown back on top, 14-12. You're watching High School Wrestling on WSPC, Cable 4 York.
Results. That's what you get when you visit East York Chiropractic Center. I'll listen to what's troubling you and tell you if chiropractic care is right for you. I'll conduct a thorough exam, discuss the results, and with proven natural techniques, give you results that ease pains for many common and not so common injuries.
I'm feeling no pain. East York Chiropractic. I'm living again. East York Chiropractic. I feel good. Yeah.
The Martin's Potato Chip family would like to thank you for supporting us for over 50 years. In that time, we've grown from 3 to over 140 dedicated employees. From start to finish, we use only the best products to ensure that each bag of potato chips is as fresh as the last one. From our family to yours, thank you for eating Martin's Potato Chips.
Did you bring it?
I forgot it.
Forget it.
Next time, don't forget it. And every time, make it part of the relationship.
A latex condom used consistently and correctly prevents the spread of HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, and may save your life.
At 140, now we have Micah Sullivan, a junior, 18-6 from Southwestern, against Tim Van Order from Dallastown, 11th grader, also 6-5. I remember a couple years ago, there was another Van Order wrestled for Dallastown. I'm sure this is his brother.
John.
Right.
Here you take a look at Sullivan. Going on the offensive right away. Micah Sullivan last year had a good tournament.
Yeah, he was second in sectionals at 130 pounds last year.
As a sophomore. Here he is a junior. And again, having a nice season, 18-6 to this point. As a junior, showing good leadership. And customarily goes right after the competition. Does not run from a good wrestler. He's not 18-6 because he skated the tough wrestlers.
Right.
He's 18-6 because he's having a good season.
You can see he's been in the weight room too. Look at the upper body development that Micah has.
Sullivan working off a front headlock now as Van Order hangs his head. Van Order wisely controlling that elbow that's over the head and the wrist. Again, hand control, elbow control.
On a high school level, if there's a good position. If he pursues in, he's got to get his hips further underneath. He's trying to do so. Now he's going to do his dump. Very nice combination.
Good fluent motion by Micah Sullivan.
Back.
2-point takedown. And looking for some near fall points. Van Order wisely bellies out, comes to his base, and immediately goes for hand control. Sullivan staying with that. Has that far tricep locked up. Now he'll pick that near knee, I would assume.
Yeah, he's going to turn. He almost turked. He couldn't get the leg up near enough to high enough to turk through.
Good fluid motion on the part of Micah Sullivan in that takedown. Went from one move right into the other and just took the flow of his opponent, capitalized on it, got the 2-point takedown. Leads with 30 seconds to go in the first period.
Yeah, it's a good start. Nice takedown. We used to do a lot of front head and arm work because we realized that a lot of boys in high school take bad shots, and it's time to score off of that. You know, you don't always have to be on the offense. It's nice. I always coach from the viewpoint that you could make your offense your defense if you constantly were in that mode. But you may run another boy that has the same philosophy. So if you can get him caught in a bad position, you could score out of his bad shot, off of his bad shot.
And probably one of the best I've ever seen do that is one of your wrestlers, in Sean Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sean was. I tell you, it almost sends chills to me when I think about that guy. What he was willing to do, what he did, and at senior year win the state tournament.
The adversity he faced along the way.
Yeah, the adversity he faced, losing his father along the way, and continuing through the tournaments, meeting the same boy 3 times in sectional finals, district finals, and state finals, and winning each time. Plus, not only practicing about 15 minutes the week of states because of a knee problem. It's just so many things that took place in that. It just, just sends chills to me.
And it didn't stop at college either.
No, he went to Delaware Valley and was very successful. He was a 3-time national champ, Division III.
Van Order starts the second period in a down position, now looking to come out for at least a 1-point escape. Possibly a 2-point reversal. We'll see how this pans out. They're 1:30 to go. Oh, Sullivan brings him back to the mat. Remember, Sullivan is still in control.
Yeah, still in control. That's right. Still has that arm and he's reaching across now to improve his position.
The positioning
is not giving up in that position. He's fighting back.
The positioning of Micah Sullivan is what saved him. Didn't panic.
A lot of that, I'm sure that Micah spent some time with some freestyle. And if you notice, there's a little bit of an arm throw that he used there. And those things, that technique's learned through freestyle and Greco-Roman.
Different form of wrestling than the scholastic style of wrestling.
Well, the major difference is you spend so much more time on your feet and very little time on the mat. So it really enhances your skill on your feet if you can get involved in that off-season work.
I think that any time I've seen a wrestler that spent a lot of time in freestyle, too, you see the improvement in their hip positioning.
Well, you know, you get it. That's true. And what you say, as we go into the districts and up to states, and the boys that surface up the state tournament are going to be kids that we've seen on our Pennsylvania junior national team that goes out to wrestle the national tournament each summer.
Here's Sullivan getting himself in trouble as Van Order tries to capitalize, gets a 2-point reversal, and possibly the fall. This could be trouble.
That's how things can change so suddenly in wrestling. You're never out of it. You're never out of it. You can't think you're ever out of it.
And that's why sometimes, Charlie, I have such a tough time. In all fairness, some of the fans, you know, you've got high school kids wrestling, but the the pressure they put on the coach. Now, here's Dave Cox puts something out like this, a freak move or a freak accident, you know, and all of a sudden the coach made a bad move.
Well, it's the thing. Those things happen. You know, you can view it as a bad move, but you know, that's part of the sport. You just don't know how it's going to come out. You're going to go with your odds, the way you feel it's the best, but you never know. Their arms are really tangled up inside there. There could have been an injury there in that arm.
Watching Sullivan's elbow, it's not meant to bend that way.
I know mine won't bend that way.
At the end of 2 periods, Tim Van Order with a 2-point reversal, 3-point near fall, jumps out ahead of Micah Sullivan. Right now, I would call this an upset in the making, but we've got 2 full minutes to wrestle and too much can happen.
Well, you can see the crowd involvement here. They're realizing the effort that Tim has put into it, and they're appreciating it. And that's something I've always witnessed here at Dallastown. They do appreciate the effort of these boys.
And they get an effort out of every one of them.
Yes,
here's Sullivan on the bottom position, trying to come with a stand-up. Van Order with a nice ride. Good hand control, has a 2-on-1, now looking for a cheap tilt, possibly. .140 to go. Remember, Tim Van Order of Dallastown, a junior at 6-5, leading Micah Sullivan, a junior at 18-6, by the score of 5-4. We've got 1:30 to go in this bout, and this would be a surprise victory for Dallastown.
Now, these kind of matches help a boy in sectionals. It helps in seeding, because if you knock off a kid like this, you really gain some stature and recognition going into sectionals, so you could get a better seed going into sectionals.
Micah Sullivan, 2-point reversal, probably near fall points as well.
Yeah, he's getting them now. What happened, Tim got his hips so high, and you can't do that. And Micah was able to step over it.
Hips high, head was low, and Sullivan just caught him out of position, stepped over it. 2-point reversal. He has at least 3 near fall points, and now trying to secure the pin for his team. He's got 52 seconds to do it.
That's a long time to fight off your back.
Nice, deep, tight waist there.
Yes, very tight, and I'm sure the half from this position, I can't see it, but it looks like he has his half on pretty tight. He's got to drive it in deeper than that. He's got to get into elbow deep with that half Nelson. And that's why Tim was able to fight out of it.
We've seen Van Order do that in the last 3 weeks. He is a savvy wrestler from the bottom, will not give up. You talked about effort, and you're going to get it. You're going to get effort from Tim Van Order. It gives you 6 minutes of wrestling, and like we said, it's not always coming away with a victory that helps your team. Sullivan with a 3-point near fall now leads 9-5. He's got 15 seconds to go. Van Order continuing to fight. Van Order looking to get the reversal. He's got 5 seconds to do it.
Got his reversal.
Now it's 9-7 Sullivan, and that's going to do it. The final second ticks away. Micah Sullivan hangs on to an exciting bout.
Yes, it was.
Gets a 9-7 victory for the Mustangs. Now puts the Mustangs back up on top. 15-14. You're watching high school wrestling on WSPC Cable 4 York.
Driving down the highway Route 74, looking for the place where they offer me more. Quality and service are the only way for the main attraction in Southern PA. With friends and neighbors, what a difference it makes. Cause you'll get a great deal and you'll get a fair shake. Your hometown dealer and a down-home deal. Red Lion Chevy Geo Oldsmobile. Red Lion Chevy Geo Oldsmobile.
We do nothing but accident injury law, and we've been doing it in this county for 17 years.
There's no substitute for experience, and all of us here have that experience. We've earned that experience by representing people, going into the courtroom. A person would not go to their family physician for heart surgery, more than likely. And the difference between our office and a family attorney or a general practitioner is that great.
Protecting your rights under the law. You can count on us.
Okay, at 145 pounds, we see Sean Ott for Southwestern, a 10th grader, 7-10, and he's facing J.R. Swartz, a 10th grader, also 6-15.
Evenly matched. We'd call this one a toss-up bout that both teams would love to have. This has been back and forth from the get-go. Right now, Southwestern leading the team score by 1 point, 15-14.
We got to be careful. He's got him up in the air. He's got to bring him down under control so there's no slam. Nice control. Nice half Nelson right to his back. This could have a big influence on the end result. Alt did a nice job.
Nice job by Alt. Double leg takedown. Took him to the air. As Charlie said, a lot of times, wrestlers will bring him down out of control. They could slam, end up losing the match. Here is Alt securing a cradle. Not even a cradle. He's got that near leg hooked, and he's got the half on the...
There's still a lot of movement. I think he's able to fight out of it. A nice takedown, a nice back point.
And quickly, Sean Alt of Southwestern out to a 5-0 lead with 59 seconds to go in the first period.
You know, and at the end of the previous match, even though Van Order lost, I could see a kind of a real appreciation on the part of his teammates for the effort he put in against a kid that they all respected with Micah.
You know, Charlie, I was talking to Kevin McCleary up at Dover the other week, and he said about the county, and I said that I felt that we had a young county this year. A lot of talented kids that are underclassmen, and he said I would know better than he would because he hasn't followed it. But I really sense that, you know, you look down over these lineups, there's not a whole lot of senior participation.
I happened to have the same conversation with Kevin a couple weeks ago, and we talked about the same thing, that it is a young county, and you see a lot of sophomores in the lineups on most teams.
I would say next year and the next 2 years, your county should really show good strength in the district and possibly put a lot of guys up at states if they do a little work in the off season.
Yeah, that's so important. You know, in almost any sport today, if you're going to achieve to a high level, you've got to spend the extra time, and or otherwise you're just going to be just an average wrestler. And these kids have bigger aspirations than that. And that brings back memories. We had what you saw there at the end. We used to call it a neck roll. And because Mark Eckenrode wrestled for me a couple years ago and went to the University of Maryland, he used to do that. And I'll never forget his match with Ty Moore in the States in the semifinals. We were within inches of getting a fall against Ty Moore. And, of course, Ty was a 4-time state champ in Pennsylvania. So that brings back memories.
Starting the second period. Alt of Southwestern leading Schwartz up Dallastown by a score of 5-1.
And that roll comes off of a bad position on the part of your opponent. He gets in there, you underhook the arm and take the head, and you do a side roll, and the kid, if he hasn't ever seen it before, really catches him by surprise. And you can get a fall out of that. Mark got numerous falls in his career.
Schwartz deferred to start the second period. Alt took the down position. Schwartz is still in control. We've got 1:20 to go. Second period, Alt leading Schwartz by a score of 5-1.
Brian's looking at this. Okay, he's not going to have to call stalemate because they were able to improve their positions. Certainly, Brian's been in sport a long time, and certainly this match is in good hands. He knows the rules very well. He's our county interpreter, rules interpreter, and he's very proficient in what he does.
That's one thing you've got to feel comfortable with as a coach when you see an ex-wrestler out there, somebody that's been involved as long as he has. They can anticipate the action.
Yes. Yeah, that's very important. As you say, anticipate. Because you're in the right positions then.
You know where the action's going.
Right.
Here is Schwartz, gets a 2-point reversal as Alt. Let's change that. Schwartz was in the top position. Alt almost got a 2-point reversal. Schwartz maintained control and as a result almost capitalized, getting some near fall points, but they go out of bounds. 32 seconds to go, second period. Alt still leads this one 5-1. Southwestern leading the team score by a score of 15-14.
You know, there's very few sports where one official is determining what is judging the action out there and awarding points. Most sports have 2 or more officials. So all the action is focused on those 3 individuals on the mat. And as fans have become more knowledgeable, you know, they're aware of what's happening. So the guy has to know what he's doing out there, and Brian certainly does.
Schwartz with a near cradle locked up. Alt trying to fight it off. No points have been scored at this.
He's hooking the leg on the cradle, except Schwartz lost his position there. Now he's improving. He's walking over it.
And the second period winds down. The score stays the same. No change in the positioning, so Alt continues to lead this bout 5-1. Schwartz gets his choice to start the third and final period. Again, J.R. Schwartz of Dallastown and Sean Alt of Southwestern.
Both boys are certainly looking their head coach's way to get some directions, and Schwartz looked at Coach Gable, and Gable said take the down.
That's a good sign of 2 coachable sophomores.
Yes.
Here's Schwartz with a stand-up. Alt drops to a double leg to maintain the control. Here's where he scored in the first period.
Gotta be careful.
He likes to work off that double, set him on his hips and sink the half, and try and score from his feet. Out of bounds, we'll go back to center.
Know, when you lift a boy off the mat, you've taken away much defense that he has, and that's a good strategy. Get a boy up and get him in position. You put him down. There's not much he can do.
Now Alt showing the optional start. Let's Schwartz out for a 1-point escape. It's now a 5-2 match. Alt leading. 1:35 to go in the final period. This is the 145-pound weight class.
Minute and 26 seconds to go. Schwartz in great position there. He did a little bit of a drag, overhead drag. And that was nice. The boys from Easton used to do that a lot. And it's a very slick move. That was nice. Didn't score off of it, but he got in good position.
Alt doing a nice job of defending things. I would say most of the Southwestern wrestlers are not giving up. Once Dallastown gets in on their first or initial offensive attack, these guys are calm. They're not panicking. They're staying right with the move and defending it. And
okay, now it's 5-4.
And now I eat my words.
Pardon me?
I said, and now I eat my words. But Schwartz in good position. In good position, stays with his move, gets a 2-point takedown.
There's a count of 1. No points, no back points yet. So Schwartz got to move up. He's got to move up and secure those shoulders to the mat to get some back points. Getting close now, getting close.
Might want to look at bar in his arm as it's popping through. There he gets it. Bard on the left side. He's got it in.
30 seconds.
Now you sink a nice deep half.
Yes, there it is. The head's down. The half would be there.
Hey, he checks
nice
it back.
Back hook. Very nice. Put him right back, and he took the head, and now Alt's in trouble.
We talked about the toss-up matches, and the team that won those would come out on top. J.R. Schwartz could be pulling one of those out for Dallastown. He gets a 3-point near fall, leads at 7-5. The period is not over, and neither is about. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2. That's going to do it. J.R. Schwartz hangs on, and Dallastown pulls out a narrow 7-5 victory through J.R. Schwartz. That puts Dallastown back on top, 17-15.
I really think maybe some conditioning had an effect on that. Toward the end, it looked like Schwartz was able to, Schwartz was able to hang in there and score those takedown and back points, which I think was affected because of the conditioning.
That brings us to 152-pounders. For Southwestern, Keith Hoffman, a junior at 14-7, will face Neil Stinson, a junior at 7-15. Here nice. Quickly, Hoffman attacks.
Nice double leg. And got his takedown. Good job.
Out of bounds, back to center. Stinson will be in the bottom position. Hoffman appears to be a little bit bigger. I'm going to check those weigh-ins.
Yeah. I think you'll see a difference in their weight.
Appears to have a little bit more size than Stinson.
Yeah, strength-wise certainly shows up here as a difference.
Potentially dangerous. We'll stop the action, go back to the center. No change. Stinson in the bottom position. Hoffman, Southwestern will be in the top. Stinson attempts to stand up. Hoffman brings him right to the mat. Hoffman looked quickly to stick the legs in. We'll stop it for potentially dangerous again. And Charlie, where does this come into play now as far as stalling, if this continues?
Well, if he kept putting a leg in, and that's his only move he's doing as the boy comes up, as Stinson comes up, then obviously he's going to be stalling. He's got to vary his offense on the top then.
Hoffman sticks the legs in now from the right side. Appears to have a back hook. Out of bounds, back to center. No change.
In the last couple of years, you're seeing less, I think, of leg wrestling than we did in the past, because the officials are less permitting of you to keep legs in and do nothing with them. Not that Keith Hoffman wouldn't be doing something with them, but just that you see much more work being done on their feet and letting people up, taking them down, letting them take them down, and going for back points off of that.
You know, as you said, the official's not allowing that. One that comes to mind when you say that is, I don't know if you remember the name of Spike Israel.
Okay.
This guy, you think about putting legs on, he's calling you for stalling. And he was a collegiate ref, but he just did not stand for it. You're seeing, as you said, Charlie, a lot more officials just watching it closer and making you use them offensively.
Well, I think from a fan's viewpoint, too, it does the sport a lot of good if there's more action. And I'll be honest, I always enjoyed working for my feet as a coach more than I did down on the mat. And I think the fans do too. There's something going to happen on their feet. When they're on the mat, it just minimizes the action.
Talking about the action, I'm going to ask you a question in a minute concerning the move to freestyle and what you see happening. 59 seconds to go. Hoffman still leading this one 2-0 off his takedown. We're in the first period. Here's Stinson with a 1-point escape. Now it's 2-1 lead for Hoffman. Keith Hoffman of Southwestern, a junior at 14-7. Neil Stinson, Dallastown, a junior at 7-15. Hoffman leading this one 2-1. Coming up on 40 seconds remaining in the first period. Stinson attempting to set up his firemen. At this point, you see Hoffman reaching through, blocking in the crotch. Now here comes Stinson with that.
There again was that nice roll, nice comeback with the lateral drop. When you get somebody pushing into you, like Stinson was, you can drop him, and he did.
And he's in good position at this point to secure the fall. 13 seconds to do it. Hoffman locking things up, pulling that elbow across the face, trying to get that near shoulder down because that's what's stopping it. Stinson doing a nice job fighting it, gets to the edge of the mat. 3 seconds.
Out, and we can't get any more points in that. Shoulders out, now they're back in. Couldn't have pinned him in that position.
Time runs out. 3-point near fall for Keith Huffman, now leading this bout at the end of the first period, 7-1.
That was a nice series on the part of everybody there. We had the fireman's carry, and now the fireman's carry, we had a lateral drop come off of that.
It's one thing you see Neil Stinson, if he had to work on something, it would be his positioning. Tends to get himself extended and out of position as a result. Gets himself in trouble sometimes from his feet. And that'll come with more wrestling. You need more mat time.
Yeah, and you mentioned freestyle earlier. The more the kids can work into freestyle Greco-Roman, the more confidence they're going to gain their feet. And in fairness, if you go to a collegiate match today, you're going to find of the 8 minutes wrestled, at least I'll say six or seven are on their feet. You watch Iowa wrestle. You know, your top teams in the nation, certainly Iowa being the one I focus on. That's where they spend a lot of their time.
Even when you get up to states, I mean, you're talking to high school level, you see a lot of wrestlers that'll take them down, let them up.
Correct.
Riding's almost just a thing that happens after the takedown.
Yeah.
Short period and up.
Short period of time.
Again, Huffman trying to horse him, just basic over-under, trying to no setup, just trying to horse him. Sheer muscle. Stinson stays right with it. Now Huffman again locks up a cradle as they go out of bounds. We'll go back to center, no change. 1:20 to go, second period. Hoffman leading this one 7-2. We're in the neutral position. Stinson showing a little bit of fatigue or gasping for a little bit of air at this point.
You never know if these kids are coming with colds. A little bit of a sickness can really have an effect on your performance.
I think that's the first warning we've seen this evening for stalling. Bryant Meckley nails Neil Stinson for his first warning. Stalling, backing up. He's got to learn to circle in.
Yeah, there needs to be more of a setup. There's a lateral drop again. Pushed right at him. We'll see what the call is here. Did you pick up on anything there, Larry?
I think what happened is Bryant Meckley anticipated injury. He thought he heard Stinson yell, and that's why he said sorry.
Okay.
I think what he did is he gave the 2-point takedown, 2-point near fall because Stinson was in a predicament.
No. Yeah, the head was caught inside there, and that's what he was recognizing. And that's the responsibility of the official. If he senses there's a danger on one of the boys' part, he's going to stop it because he's responsible for their safety.
And, you know, fans have to respect that. I mean, the thing that comes first is the participant, the wrestler's safety.
That's correct.
You know, who cares if your wrestler gets a fall if the other team's guy is seriously damaged for life?
Right, exactly. Yeah, these kids have a long life ahead of them,
and this can get opinionated, Charlie, but you know, somebody with that kind of thinking,
yes,
needs to reevaluate.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, these are simply learning grounds and lessons to be learned at this level. And that's why I think kids that are involved in athletics and wrestling in particular are really learning a lot about challenges that they're going to face later in life. Obviously, the challenges become different as we age, but still, each time they go out, they're facing a new challenge. It just happens it's a boy in this case, and they're battling for the same reward. And we all face challenges in our life, and they're facing that now. And I think that's a great experience for these kids to have.
And the disciplines that are involved are required leading up to just this challenge, as you said, losing the weight, putting the time in the off season, putting the time in during the season. This sport has taught me a lot.
And I tell you, Larry, and I'm not taking anything away from other sports. Other sports demand a lot also. But certainly wrestling shouldn't have to take a second seat to any sport when it comes to the need of effort and the willingness to work hard and face challenges, because this sport has it all.
Couldn't agree more. 1 second, that'll do it. Second period winds down. We've got what? Clamming up?
Yes.
Stalling.
Stalling on Stinson's part.
So 1 penalty point awarded, or 1 stalling point awarded to Keith Huffman. He now leads at 12-2 at the end of 2 periods. This is our 3rd and final period, 152-pound weight class. Keith Huffman of Southwestern will be in the down position. He leads 12-2. Neil Stinson of Dallastown will be in the top position. And here we go.
Got to get some hand control.
He heard you for a minute.
He's off the mat now. It's hard to get it. When those feet leave the foam, you're in trouble.
A big factor in this weight class between these two right now, a difference, is strength.
Yeah, you can see there's a difference. Look at the arm development, shoulder development.
Huffman's not only tall, he's not only got leverage strength, he's got just, appears to be a little bit more horsepower. Stinson trying the fireman's carry again. Huffman catches him with his head inside. Cradle's locked up. If he gets his head back and inside, it could be trouble. No, he lets it go. 2-point takedown.
If you notice Neil's position there, as you say, he went for fireman's carry, but instead of going in on penetration, he fell back. And falling back, he lost his leg position. And you can see the results of that. When you hit a fireman, you got to go through it and take the man away from where he was standing, not fall back and have him fall on top of you. He just collapsed. Yeah, if we look at we're looking at the minimum weights here, we see Stinson weighed, or their actual weights tonight. Stinson weighed in 148.2, and Keith Huffman weighed in 153. Yes, 153.6.
Of course, Stinson looking like he's a little more at his natural weight, and Huffman looking like he's lost a little bit to get where he's at. So
exactly.
35 seconds to go. Huffman now scoring near fall points, has 3 points secured. So that makes it 18-2. And that will take care of a technical fall.
You can see
if he doesn't pin him.
Coach Cox moving out the side of the bench to get a better position, and he got it.
So with 19 seconds remaining in the bout, Keith Huffman working off the legs, locks up a guillotine of sorts, secures the fall, and now Southwestern jumps out to a 21-17 lead. You're watching High School Wrestling on WSBC Cable 4 York.
Welcome to Hanover Honda. We'd like to show you around our exquisitely beautiful showroom with crystal chandeliers and plush carpet, but we can't. We'd like to introduce you to our large sales staff, but we can't. We don't have these things at Hanover Honda. What we do have is low overhead, one of the most reliable cars ever made, a top-notch service and sales department to make your visit to Hanover Honda a truly pleasant experience. And now you know why Hondas cost less in Hanover.
Want to change the direction of your life? Tomorrow's jobs require hands-on skill and knowledge. Join the caring people at Yorktown Business Institute and learn how you could be ready for an exciting career in as little as 8 months. Over 91% of YBI grads get a job within a year. Prepare for success in a well-paying career. Choose programs in business administration or secretarial science. Careers as a medical, dental, or legal office assistant are among the fastest growing in the nation. Earn a diploma or specialized associate degree at Yorktown Business Institute. Call 846-5000.
Okay, at 160 pounds, we have from Southwestern, Mark Moore, 11th grader, 14-7, and he will wrestle from Dallastown, Brian Stanton, 11th grader, 5-6. And Stanton took a shot right off the whistle, proving his position. He's in on that single, come to his feet. Okay, who can, that head position, so it was so crucial right there. Still in that single leg, recovered the single leg.
Again, Moore appears to be a little bit stronger at this point.
Yes.
Because Stanton's had good positioning, had his hips where he belonged, and Moore has popped out of 2 predicaments so far, and now appears to be breaking out again. There they go. They'll break free. They're still in the neutral position, so a nice job of Mark Moore defending the attacks of Brian Stanton. Nice initial shot on the part of Brian Stanton. Set it up nice, got it in deep.
He did.
Basic collar tie by both wrestlers now. Here is Moore with a pair of underhooks.
Usually don't see much scoring off a double underhook like that. It's you're going to have to move out of that into something else.
Back to center, no change, and Moore saw it coming, tried to slap a nice headlock on Stanton. They ran out of mat space. We'll go back to center, still in a neutral position on our feet with 40 seconds to go in the first period. We're scoreless. 160-pound weight class.
I'm sure Brian won't forget about that headlock there at the edge of the mat.
His cage rattled a little. Stanton doing a nice job. Elbows are in. He's got inside control in that tie-up, and that's, again, good positioning.
Now, we don't want to forget about in about a week and a half, we have the beginning, or actually a week, less than a week, we have the beginning of the team title, and then to be culminated on the 18th of this month for the AA and AAA team championship in District 3. So that's not far off.
Obviously, Hanover should represent York County in that. That's the end of the first period. No score, 160-pound weight class. Mark Moore of Southwestern, Brian Stanton, Dallastown. Stanton gets his choice, defers to begin the second period. So Moore gets his choice, and he will choose the down position to start the second period. At any rate, Hanover should be there for AA, and we'll see if there's any other at-large teams. I don't know if they're...
Yeah, I haven't had any information given to me on that yet. I'm not sure who's going to be in it. But there's some obvious teams involved, and Hanover being one of them.
As far as AAA, Dallastown doesn't have a lock on it. If they win tonight, they face New Oxford. Both teams, barring or provided New Oxford comes out with a victory at Dover, that'll put the Division I matchup, the undefeateds, together on Saturday evening.
That would be an interesting night.
That would.
Dave Conway has done a good job up there at New Oxford, taking over from Frank Panabaker, and really has them rolling right now.
1:23 to go, second period. 1 point escape for Mark Moore. He leads it 1-0, obviously. And that's the only score we've had thus far.
If you notice, there's another overhead drag. We saw that earlier on the part of a Dallastown, but we're there to see it again. So they're spending some time drilling that. You get a lot out of a tie-up like we have here, almost a collar tie or a head-to-head tie. We see Moore slipping in there, trying to get a headlock, but he's not in good position. He couldn't have scored out of that. He just was not in good position at all.
Wise wrestler should have bailed out of that one.
Yes.
He set it up, but it wasn't there, and he tried to force it. Instead of bailing out, he pursued it.
You don't get headlocks being parallel. You got to be perpendicular on a headlock. You hit your hips through, and he wasn't able to do that.
There's a 1 point escape for Moore after a flurry of action. We're tied up at 2 apiece. 35 seconds to go. Here's Moore in on a single. Basically, again, no position. He's pulling his way in using sheer horsepower.
Yes. You know, you see a record here like Brian Stanton at 5 and 6, and yet we're facing a boy who's 14 and 7, and they're 2-2 at this point. So perhaps the exposure to some tougher competition on the way has really helped Brian Stanton.
And of those 6 losses, you don't know how close they were.
That's right. Yeah, that number itself is just doesn't have enough history back. We don't know. We don't know what happened there. With the power that Moore shows here, it looks like he could get a takedown if he really went after Brian, but he seems to be. I don't know if it's unsure of his technique on his feet or what, but he certainly is. He appears to be stronger, more mature, physically mature.
A little raw talent.
Yeah, it's just horsepower. He's got to work on his technique.
Stanton gets the choice in the third period, takes a down position. Again, we're tied up at 2 apiece. Here comes Stanton with a stand-up. Works his way into a stand-up. Moore maintains control, brings him back to the mat. And we'll watch how he works his offensive attack from the top position.
Got the leg laced. But now he's got to work on some combinations for back points, or otherwise he'll be caught for stalling. Now he's got that wrist across with far arm. I believe he had that in mind, or kind of a back crotch and a half, perhaps.
Had that wrist exchanged in the crotch, yes. But he left it go.
Yes. You know, so many times you see kids have something and bail out of it too soon. If they just worked a little bit more, good hand control there on the escape.
Nice picture-perfect stand-up came with it. Hand control. Straight back, hips were out, posted the arm, and then just wheeled to face him for a 1 point escape. That's how it's done. 3-2 lead for Brian Stanton over Mark Moore. We've got 1 minute and 5 seconds to go. Here's Moore, snaps Stanton into the mat, looking to spin behind.
He's got the head trap. There he goes. Oh, he doesn't get it until he returns to the mat.
He has a habit.
Not yet. He didn't have control down on the mat. He had the opportunity, but didn't finish.
Moore has a habit of pulling his opponent on top of him.
Yes.
Instead of driving through him.
Yeah, you want your opponent to land on the mat before you. And I noticed that earlier. You're right. He did pull him back when they were standing up earlier and lost his position.
Whenever you pull a wrestler on top, you bail out and forfeit positioning. You just hope that it comes out the way you want. Here's Moore with a two-point takedown. Now has a bar from the left-hand side. He's got 30 seconds to do something with it. Moore leading this one 4-3. This is another one of those toss-up bouts, and it is just as close as we expected.
Walk around, walk around.
Dallastown's got to be happy with their position heading into the final 3 bouts.
Yes, no doubt. When you finish up with both Matt, Brett Calabretta, and Travis Brose, that's quite a threesome.
Here's Moore trying to run the bar.
Nice job.
Gets out of position again. Stanton sits up on it, gets a 2-point reversal. Now he leads at 5-4. Here comes Moore with a 1-point escape that ties it up at 5-5. Right on the buzzer. We're going to go to overtime for the first time.
Great action, great action. This tests your conditioning right here. They don't have them given any time to rest. You're right back at it. This is something I didn't have when I was coaching.
This is something I like.
Yes, this is that's the kids determine right tonight who's going to win the match. Rather than just letting it go as a tie.
Out of bounds, back to center. No change, still in a neutral position. The other thing I like is the fact of choosing the one who wins the most most bouts to win the dual meet. I don't like the tie.
No, no.
Good move. Here's Moore. Okay. Stanton gets the head down.
That was occasional bad shot, and you can see what the results are. You just can't force bad shots.
So, Mark Moore capitalizes on Brian Stanton's bad shot in the overtime period. Comes away with a 7-5 overtime victory. Dallastown trailing Southwestern 17-24. You're watching high school wrestling on WSPC. Cable 4 York.
A lot of people in the heating business say they'll be glad to service it if they installed it. Boyce is a little different. We'll service it whether we installed it or not. Whether it be heat pump or hot air or steam or hot water, we can service it. And yes, we do have 24-hour service delivery. So make Boyce your choice today. Let us service your heating system.
Make Boyce your choice.
You know, nothing adds a little spice to your life like a good catfish stew, unless it's a fantastic February sale going on right now at Apple Chevrolet Geo. 0 down, no payments till this May, and up to 6% off every used vehicle in stock. A 91 Plymouth Sundance with automatic and air conditioning was $89.95, now just $3,600. An 85 Olds Frienza with air, power steering, and automatic was $4,000, now just $1,600. Folks, see Apple Chevrolet Geo today. Our deals are hot. Woo! Red hot!
We're back at Dallastown, out on the mat now, 171-pounders. We'll get this lined up for you. Brett Calabretta of Dallastown, a senior at 19-3. And Chad Furman, a sophomore at 3-16. Calabretta quickly comes out, gets a 2-point takedown, and he is aggressive on top.
Yes, he is. Last year, Brett was second in the district at 171 pounds, and I finished at second in sectionals, and you can see he already has Furman in trouble here in that cross-face cradle.
Got that far elbow, locked it up.
Driving the knee in the near side, and that brings that inside shoulder down.
Good positioning. Not sure I understand the positioning right there at this point. Some wrestlers do that, and I personally feel it's better to stay with the knee in the side, head in the temple, and squeeze.
Well, I think the philosophy, what you're thinking about is that you're controlling the hips.
Exactly.
And by moving out to the side, you lost control of the hips.
Plus, you put a lot more energy, you expend a lot more energy because now you're controlling everything just with your grip and your upper body.
Good point.
3-point near fall. A 1-point escape for Chad Furman. We now have a 5-1 lead for Brett Calabretta as he takes a shot at an outside single leg. Head was to the outside. Almost an attempt at a high crotch. Furman comes in with a shot himself, and they run out of bounds. We'll go back to center. 41 seconds to go. First period. Calabretta still leads this one 5-1.
Kind of dropped, lowered his level and shot by the kind of a slide-by move.
Gets a 2-point takedown now. 7-1 lead for Brett Calabretta.
to have kids this size move as well as they do and stay in position is it's really great to see.
I'll tell you what's amazing to me is that they've had these top 3 guys maintain their weights all 3 years. You know, I thought for sure, being a sophomore at 171, they would have problems with one of these wrestlers.
Yes, they'd be bunched up at the upper end and not have enough, couldn't spread them out.
Fortunate for Dave, it didn't happen.
Yes.
Second period begins. Furman gets his choice, defers. Calabretta gets his choice, takes the top position. End of 1 period, Brett Calabretta leading Chad Furman of Southwestern by a score of 7-1.
See what kind of positioning Brett has here on top. Went for a far ankle. Again, got an angle and drove him off to the side, working into a Turk, trying to get into Turk. Kind of bailed out of that, working off of the arm. Coming back for that cross-face cradle. It worked before, and it looks like he's gaining that same position again.
Basically because Chad Furman hanging his head.
Yes. Yeah, right there, as Larry said earlier about that knee. Now it's, you can see how it's just stopped the hip movement on the part of Furman. If he keeps that knee in the side. Oop. Now he's kind of bailed out to that extended position again.
Likes to work from that position. I'm not sure why, but he gets another 3-point near fall. Out of bounds, back to center. 10-1 lead for Calabretta. 1:19 to go, second period.
Minute 19 to go in this second period. Brett starting from the other side this time. Kind of a spiral ride on the breakdown. He's got to get off his knees a bit more. There he is. Now he's driving with his feet because there's a lot of strength through your legs. So you want to be able to use that. When you drop your knees, you lose that.
He's got the wrist. He pops up in his back.
Yeah, that arm is in a bad position.
Potentially dangerous. Stops the action. Brings us back to the center. Furman will stay in a down position. Calabretta in the top. Calabretta leading 10-1. We've got 1:04 to go in the second period. That's a ride that stayed around, that spiral ride. The spiral ride, I mean, as a breakdown, kind of, as I recall it, came from Gene Mills, is where it really, he modified it to his Millsy half, and
he developed the Mills half off of that.
Sometimes you see rides come and go. I know at Westrick, Coach Togish used to always have you collapsing, chopping and collapsing, and it's not even done anymore. Calabretta, near leg cradle. Yeah.
He just couldn't get him settled.
Keep working, lad. Keep working.
One escape for Furman.
13-2 lead for Calabretta. We've got 25 seconds to go, second period.
There's a nice high crotch. Good deep penetration.
Right through it.
Yes, straight on through. He didn't get halfway and stop. He kept going through it. But you mentioned about how technique you used in high school, kind of you don't see it anymore. You'll be surprised a couple years it'll come back again.
Yeah.
It'll cycle through.
No kidding.
Yeah. So if you stay in it long enough, you'll see it happen again. A couple years ago, they had said how late bottom wrestling had gone out, and then it came back in a bit. Now it's out again, so it'll come back.
That ends the second period. At the end of 2, Calabretta leads Chad Furman by a score of 15-2. Third and final period coming up, and that was Chad Furman's choice to take the neutral position. Interesting.
Yes. From what happened in the past, the takedowns that Brett has gotten, you'd be surprised he took the standing position.
I think the reason being he scores a 2-point takedown of Calabretta. There it is. That's the technical call.
Yeah.
He lets him on top, or he goes in the bottom. Thread of the pins there. Calabretta with a tech fall. 1:46 remaining in the third period. Dallastown narrows a lead to 2 as Southwestern leads at 24-22 after the 171-pounders, and that brings us up to the 189-pound bout. For Dallastown on the mat. On the mat for Dallastown, Matt Calabretta, a senior at 18-2, and he will face a sophomore for Southwestern at 0-2. It's Travis Lawrence.
What a challenge that Travis has. There's another overhead drag. Worked very well.
Of the 2 Calabrettas, you know, I faced a lifetime of this being compared with Barry all the time, my twin brother. And Matt appears to be less of a risk taker, a little more methodical than Brett. And it'd be interesting. I'm going to look over these stats that we got from Dave Gable concerning who pins more. And Brett and Matt, that's just something, you know, you guys are used to. You just have to put up with it. People will always compare you. And it's frustrating.
Well, it is, but there's certain advantages to that, too.
Sure was.
You know, having a person about your same size and weight to work out with, live with.
It's called an inborn motivation because you never want to be outdone.
That's right. I want to mention that you said about when you were in high school wrestling for Coach Togus. Last night I saw him at York Sports Night, and he was inducted into York County Hall of Fame, and very deserving of all the years he put into the sport.
A lot of good memories as a result of Coach Togus, and there, with 1:10 remaining in the bout, so a 50-second fall for Matt Calabretta puts Dallastown back on top. 28-24 heading into the heavyweight bout. Remember last year, this was decided by a 3-point near fall. Travis Gross got it in the third period and got a 7-4 victory and pulled out the team victory for Dallastown. And here comes Travis Gross now for the Dallastown Wildcats. Gross, a senior at 19-3. For Southwestern, Aaron Udermalen, a senior at 14-7.
Last year, Larry, in sectional finals, Travis Gross was defeated in overtime by Kevin Oswald, and Udermalen was in the consolation finals and lost to Robinson from New Oxford. There again, we see that overhead drag.
This Travis Gross has really developed into a nice heavyweight.
I talked to his dad up at Cedar Cliff earlier this year, and he kind of suggested if he has the chance, he's going to play some football in college. And I think with that kind of size, he may get that opportunity. And I'm quite sure that any collegiate football coach would encourage Travis to be wrestling because it helps his agility, his confidence, strength, everything involved. And so I know that several Penn State football players have also been wrestlers.
He's got a lot of potential, too. I mean, he can still develop quite a bit.
Yes.
He has really improved since his sophomore year. He's wrestling at 275 pounds, having to drink to make weight at weigh-ins, which meant he had to drink to make it over 189 pounds. Yeah. And he has really developed. Yes, tonight he tipped the scale at 220. Udermalen stepped on at 233. So they have good size. Here's Gross, stays with that overhead shrug, as you said, and eventually got the 2-point takedown.
Watch out, watch out.
Stop that for potentially dangerous. Udermalen will go down in the down position. Gross will be in the top. We've got 55 seconds to go in the first period. Gross leading it 2-0.
As I look at Travis, I remember back, his dad was from Dover. And as a matter of fact, I gave him my paper route. His dad did my paper route. So his dad, Scott, and I grew up in Dover together. I think at this point, Travis is a bit bigger than his dad.
A little bit. And I'm sure for his dad, he's glad he built the respect in early.
Yes.
30 seconds to go, first period. Gross leading 2-0. Puts a pair of legs in now, working the power half from the left side. Very common practice on the part of Travis Gross. Out of bounds, back to center, no change. 23 seconds to go, first period. We saw the last three wrestlers for Dallastown in and out of the what we refer to as the district rankings. It's really an opinion of Rod Frisco, who does a nice job with it.
I tell you, that ranking this many kids the size of District 3 is extremely difficult. And he's going to be accused of misselecting some kids.
Sure.
But,
and I've done it.
Yes, we've all done that. But it's nice to get the publicity for the sport itself. I really wish we did more of that in York County. I had a chance a couple years ago when I was more involved to do that kind of work, and I would publish it through the newspaper, and I think it helped the sport. I'd like to see it come back if any coaches have the time to do it. It takes an awful amount of time, and but it's good for the sport. It gets the kid's name in the paper and enhances the sport.
First period completed. Travis Gross maintains a 2-0 lead off his takedown. Udermalen gets his choice to start the third period, defers, and Gross gets his and takes the down position. So here's Gross with a stand-up right off the whistle. Good stand-up. Now he's at 3-0. It only took 2 seconds for Travis Gross to come out from underneath. I would say at this point, Gross appears to be the stronger wrestler.
Yeah, he's just a little bit classier on his feet. He's able to score. Many times big kids, the boys this size, don't do a lot on their feet, don't do a lot for takedowns. They kind of wait for the guy to make a bad shot, and then because of the weight factor, the bottom man kind of gives out and they spin around. But Travis doesn't take that approach. He's got some nice technique.
I'll tell you, one of the most positive things for Travis Gross, in my opinion, was the fact that he had to wrestle his sophomore year at the heavier weight. Well, he switched back and forth with Matt, but usually he was up at the heavier weight, and it forced him to use good technique and good positioning, and he got in good habits, because if he did not wrestle boys 40, 50 pounds heavier, he was in trouble.
Yes. Well, and as we said earlier, having the Calabrettas in your room to work out with really helped a lot.
Sure.
It helped all three of them to have the opportunity to wrestle with one another.
Very common to watch in a lineup where you see one good wrestler following, or prior to, you'll see another one.
Yes.
They come in pairs. 50 seconds to go, second period. Gross still leads 3-0. Dallastown still leads the team score 28-24, coming off of Matt Calabretta's 52nd fall.
And even though the score's 3-0 at this point, it's not over.
No.
Not over at all. It's not over to the last whistle. With boys this size, you hate to think about it, but injuries can happen. And if it happened to Travis, you have a default, you could swing it. So it's not over yet, that's for sure.
Gross continues to wrestle a smart match, and Dallastown pulls this out, as we said, 2 days from now. Saturday where are we? 13th? What's today? No, it'd be the 11th. The 11th, New Oxford. If they pull the victory off at Dover, will maintain an undefeated Division I season at 6-0-0. We'll face the Wildcats, who will also be 6-0-0.
That's correct. Where's that match at, Rory?
Let me pull that master schedule out, and I can let you know in a minute. And I would suspect that Gross should be able to pull this one out. He appears to have really improved. I've watched him the last couple of weeks, and he impresses me as far as improvement from his sophomore year and even from his junior year last year to this year. He's really stepped it up.
Yes.
That's here at Dallastown.
Here at Dallastown. Well, it'll be a full house that night.
The thing I don't know is whether that's a 1:30 start or an evening bout.
That's true.
I can't answer that.
No.
10 seconds to go, second period. Gross leads 3-0.
Doing some pummeling upper body there, getting better positioning. Pummeling where you roll over top and try to get an underhook into an underhook position.
You see when he gets that positioning, he goes.
Yeah,
he attacks.
He throws that arm up, he kind of elevates that arm and improves his own position.
Second period winds down. Gross still leads it 3-0 over Aaron Udermalen of Southwestern. We're in the third and final period just underway. Dallastown leads the team score 28-24. Last year it came down to these two wrestlers right here.
There you
final bout.
Kind of heisted that arm and a little bit of a duck or a slide by. The pressure at this point is on Urmal, and he's got to score some points. Nobody's been called for stalling yet, so Travis can kind of use some strategy here and not put himself in bad positions.
We watched last week, Charlie, as Willie Kitts bumped up from 189 to face Travis Gross at Dover and came in. Nice double leg takedown. There's double stall warning on both wrestlers. Both first warning, 1:20 to go in the bout. Brian Meckley sees no offensive attack, so as a result, nails both of them. As I was saying, Willie Kitts comes out with a double leg, picks Gross up. Gross basically maintained composure, transferred his weight forward. As a result, broke the double leg, came down over under, and just threw Kitts. And just stuck him.
What was the weight difference in that bout?
Willie Kitts stepped on the scales, I think it was 188 point something, and Gross is right around 220.
So talking about 40
pounds.
And he picked him up?
Kitts went in on a picture-perfect double leg straight back and picked him right up.
Picked him right up.
Back extended a little bit, too. It was just sheer strength. And I thought,
that's quite an effort.
Can't talk bad about him. 35 seconds to go in the bout. Gross still leads 3-0. Both men been warned for stalling. I think at this point it's a little bit of respect and a little bit of coasting.
Yes, yes.
Gross trying to just maintain a 3-0 lead and not put himself in a bad predicament. Udermalen just not able to get anything going. 15 seconds. Again, Gross pummels for that inside control. He's got the underhook, hikes it up, makes it look good. 7 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and that's going to do it for the final bout and for this match, as the Wildcats hang on and win this one 31-24. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have the wrap-up. You've just been watching High School Wrestling on WSPC, Cable 4 York.
Driving down the highway Get a great deal and you'll get a fair shake. Your hometown dealer and a down-home deal. Red Lion Chevy Geo Oldsmobile. Red Lion Chevy Geo Oldsmobile.
The verdict is in at Maple Donuts.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty.
It should come as no surprise. Crazy Charlie Donuts is guilty. Guilty of selling the best donuts in the world. Come judge for yourself. Just one taste of Maple Donuts' 58 great varieties is all the evidence you need. And remember, with each dozen donuts you buy, you get free OJ. The verdict is in.
Guilty as charged.
We're anxious to hear your testimony at Maple Donuts with 9 convenient locations in York.
Consolidated School of Business is proud to present our new 6.5-acre campus. The spacious facility provides a comfortable learning environment with 4 fully equipped computer labs. Considering a career in business administration, medical office, travel and tourism, computerized accounting, or legal office, call CSB and find out about our 10-month diploma programs and 16-month associate and specialized business degree programs. Become a part of CSB. Call 764-9550 for a copy of our brochure, Training for Now and the Future.
Hi, I'm State Senator Dan Delp. I've opened a district office to serve you in the York area. My staff and I will be happy to help you with any issues concerning PennDOT, student loans, birth records, senior citizens assistance, or cutting through the red tape for any state government service. Please visit my office at 18 South George Street, Suite 702, just off Continental Square in downtown York, or call us at 846-2828.
We're back at Dallastown High School as the fans filter out. They just watched the Dallastown Wildcats continue an undefeated Division I season. There you take a look at the head coach is Dave Gable with his back towards you. Dave Cox, the head coach at Southwestern, on the far side of him. Charlie, take a look at this match. The final score, Dallastown 31, Southwestern 24. As you look down over the results, where do you see the key aspects that triggered the victory for
Well, as
Dallastown?
we said coming into this match, Southwestern had some strength down below in the lighter weights. And if we look at it, Dallastown came through pretty well. They picked up 3 wins below 140 pounds. And Southwestern picked up 4. So, you know, they had the edge at that point. And at that point, they were ahead 15-14. But then as we got in the upper weights, and you just can't deny the top 3 weight classes for Dallastown. They're just so fundamentally strong that they were able to make the swing because going in 171 pounds, it was 24-17 favor Southwestern. And we look a little bit later and we see the fact that Dallastown won those next 3 and swung it their way. So Dallastown's strength again in the upper weights had a big effect.
Based on the last 3 weight class, we had an 11-point swing. We're going to recap that for you. Here's how the matches went. At 103 pounds, Jared Sullivan of Southwestern came away with a narrow 2-0 victory over Mark Deck of Dallastown. Southwestern was up on top 3-0.
And then we went 112, and we have Marcus Gobrecht winning 6-4 over Quentin Gee. And that made it team score 6-0.
At 119 pounds, Jay Shrum got Dallastown on the board, tied things up at 6 apiece as he pinned Luke Walker, a fill-in for the Mustangs as Sean Boyer injured his hand or broke it. Luke Walker stepped in. Shrum pinned him in 132, as I said, deadlocked at 6 apiece.
And then we moved in 125. We have Mike Barrett from Dallastown following it with another win, 18-4, and made a major decision, 18-4, over Jamie Sterling.
At 130 pounds, Jeremy Seidenstricker, one of our feature wrestlers for Southwestern, got a 1-minute fall over Matt Trossel, a sophomore for Dallastown. Southwestern was back on top, 12-10.
And then we have at 135, Matt Deck came through with a win, 15-6 over Steve Baker. And that made it, swung it Dallastown's way, now 14-12.
At 140, another lead change goes to Southwestern as Micah Sullivan gets a narrow and surprising, closely fought 9-7 decision over Tim Van Order. Good match on the part of Tim Van Order. Didn't get the victory, but showed himself well. Southwestern was back up on top, 15-14.
And then we moved in 145, and it swung back the other way when J.R. Swartz from Dallastown won 7-5 over Sean Ott.
At 152 pounds, Keith Hoffman of Southwestern got the fall. 19 seconds remaining in the bout. Put the clinchers on Neil Stinson. Southwestern back on top, 21-17.
And then we had our first overtime bout. At 160 pounds, we had Mark Moore